but by night I'm one hell of a lover. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
So you had a blast the opening night with your movie.
Strange Journey, the story of Rocky Horror.
What's your fascination with Rocky Horror?
Well, you know, my dad created it and wrote
Did
it.
he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it was it's about his personal journey and the history, 50 years history of Rocky Horror as well.
So and it was cheap. You don't have to pay him.
Well, we still have to pay for the publishing, but not in general.
Why?
Yeah, sure.
Why is this long fascination with you think with Rocky Horror? Why has it lasted so long?
I mean, there's so many reasons. I would say the first thing is the music, which maybe doesn't get the. I mean, listen, everyone loves the music, but it kind of gets lost with the transgressive themes and the gender identity and sexuality, and Tim Curry's performance, which again, I would say probably Tim Curry's performance and my dad's music and the gender affirming ideas are probably the strongest reasons, three strongest reasons why it's lasted this long. And also the other thing is that it's tremendously fun and joyous, so it doesn't get challenged by people at all, because what's the challenge when something's so fun, you know? It's just if it was a little bit darker or it was trying to like bang you over the head with a message, then probably it would get challenged a bit more, but yeah, it's
If it hadn't happened then, could it have happened now, the film?
It's an interesting question. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it's more relevant today maybe than it was in the past, which is a weird place to be, because you would kind of hope it would be a relic now. Like it would just be, you'd go, oh, that was fun. Wasn't that weird how people had a strange idea that, you know, men couldn't wear women's clothing and women couldn't wear men's clothing? But, you know, society has taken a few steps back recently. So yeah, I mean, it's always provided a safe space for people who felt marginalized and different, and it continues to do so up until today. And the sense of community around it is incredible. I mean, I had one of the most amazing stories at South by Southwest was the screening had finished. I was on the stage giving the Q&A, and the Q&A finished, and this guy came up, and he's older gentleman, and he's shaking visibly. And I'm like, okay, it's okay. And he's like, I just have to tell you, my wife and I met at Rocky 32 years ago. And my wife wanted to tell you, she couldn't be here today, but she wanted to tell you and your dad that if it wasn't for Rocky Horror, she wouldn't be alive today. And those stories come all the time. So I don't think that there's another work of art, an album, a play, a movie that has tangibly saved the lives of people. And I would say it's in the tens of thousands. And even then I would say it's conservative, but it sounds, if I say it's like in the hundreds of thousands, no one will believe me. But there's a distinct possibility that's the case, because you're talking about 3 generations of people. And so, so when you start to think of it in those terms, it becomes a bit overwhelming. Because who would ever have thought that it was meant to run for 3 weeks in a theater that held 50 people. And from then it's gone on to alter the culture in a way.
It is true, because you think of a time also of hair, but that was just a piece of nostalgia. The hippies. It didn't have any really depth to it, did it?
I mean, yeah, it's funny because my dad and my mom met in the touring production of Hair.
Did they?
Yeah.
Were they once stood up with no clothes on?
I have no idea. I don't want to get into that. But yeah, they met there on the touring production, and everyone who was in that auditioned for Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh God, I forgot that.
And then my dad, after being in the chorus of Jesus Christ Superstar for, 6 months, he got cast as the role of Herod. And so he did 3 performances, and he remembers Robert Stigwood sitting up in the balcony. He says, it's in the movie as well, because it was kind of like Caesar. He was like, umming and ahhing, and then he gave the thumbs down to my dad and fired him. And if he hadn't fired him, he never would have written Rocky Horror.
This is all UK?
This is all UK, all in London.
And they think we're a very mild country that don't do anything.
Right. I know.
What's going to be the present generation's reaction to your film?
One thing it does is a lot of people who love the movie had no idea of the history of the stage play. So it informs that kind of history and how it was a flop on Broadway and how it was a flop when a movie first got released. And then the success it came at the midnight showings. It really is just a supportive, it's supportive of the Rocky itself, and then it's a chance to celebrate Rocky for everyone who's ever loved it, because they're represented there. We have some very touching moments from an original cast member at the 8th Street Playhouse. I ever say original cast member, original shadow cast member. His name's Sean Waters, and he tells their story. He says he was a runaway. He'd survived sexual abuse, and from every Friday, from 8 to 4 a.m., he was in a safe place. And I think that he's telling a story for, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the world. I mean, listen, you've got to think about it, right? 12% of the population, of the human population, is LGBTQ, right? So you're talking about close to 1 billion people, right? And that's just currently in today. And so when you're talking about those kind of numbers, it really shows you that Rocky presents one of the only places where you can provide community. And that's what the shocking thing was when the midnight screenings happened, is that you would think it would be a success in LA and New York and Chicago, maybe, the bigger cities. But it was the effect it had on the Midwest and the South, which was truly astounding. Yeah, because people, they're all there in the community. You have a community with 50,000 people, 5,000 people are LGBTQ. And so, they're going to come and gravitate towards that, because where else are they going to be felt support like that?
What years are we talking about?
Well, it was the stage play came out in 1973. The film came out in 1975, then it flopped, and then it got re-released on April 1st, 1976, and it's never left theaters since then.
Wow.
It's the longest running theatrical film in the history of cinema.
I don't remember. It was part of my coming out period, and I do remember Midnight.
Yeah.
And I think it was somewhere in the King's Road.
Yeah, I mean, the stage play it went from the Royal Court Theatre to the Classic, was there for the Classic for 2 months, which was another rundown theatre, and then it went to the Isolde, which became the King's Road Theatre.
God.
Yeah, and it was there till 79, maybe? I saw it there at the Isolde when I was 4 years old in 76.
I'm not going to say how old I was. But it's great when it's a piece of English tradition, because it doesn't people don't automatically think of the Brits in this sort of sense of...
Well, I don't know if that's true necessarily, because you've got to think, remember, it hit at the perfect time, right? Glam rock was at its peak, punk was just about to start, and Sue Blaine's costumes, it can be said, heavily influenced Malcolm McLaren and Vivienne Westwood. Like, then my dad remembers them coming down all the time, and then you start to look at their clothes and look at that aesthetic, and so it's right in between punk and glam rock. So yeah.
So we need to go and see your film, and then we'll rush out and see the original.
Right. Yeah, well, the idea would be eventually, after we're going to release it in October in theaters, that it would play always before the midnight screenings, because one of the ideas of making it is that after you finish watching it, you want nothing more than to listen to the album, see the movie, or go see the stage play. And, because you're excited about it, you feel, jazzed to see it. And so hopefully that's going to be the case.
I feel very lucky and fortunate when I can boast of Millennials. My generation grew up to the Beatles and to things like that.
Right.
So thank you, Father, for that. It was a great...
Right, of course. Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Go see the film.
I'm glad we caught you at home. Could we use your phone? We're both in a bit of a hurry.
Right.
We'll just say where we are, then go back to the car.
Pleasure to meet you, Dr. Furton.
We don't want to be any worry.
Well, you got caught with a flat world. How about that? Well, babies, don't you panic. By the light of the night, it'll all seem alright. I'll get you a satanic mechanic. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.